Hello, Macrid back in anticipation of multiple teams changing their uniforms this upcoming year. I am going to be ranking all 32 teams alternative uniforms. Now, this is not their regular home uniforms. This is the alternative, either home or away, and a couple description or elements to these rankings is one, how are they visually appealing, and two, how do they combat the original uniforms? Now, are they better? Are they somewhat different? Do they make the regular uniforms not seem as catching or appealing, or vice versa? So those are kind of the elements of the rankings. Also, one of the elements in these rankings is they have to be recent alternative uniforms, and so that doesn't take into consideration where some teams had different color of helmets because of the new recent rule of one player is only allowed one helmet, and they basically have to be all of one color. So, for instance, the old Titans, whenever they wore the Oiler uniforms for the CJ2K days, or the Steelers yellow helmets with the black, those are not being considered in this list. So keep that in mind. And without further ado, let's get right into it. At number 32, we got the New England Patriots, and these are their all navy color rush uniforms. Now, I'm not saying that the Patriots uniforms are bad by any means, but their color rushes, all navy, it just doesn't do anything for me. If I think of the Patriots, I just want to see those navy tops and silver pants. So yeah, it just doesn't fit to me, in my opinion. And also for the Patriots, like I said, the helmets don't count, so you can't go the old school all white or the white helmets with the red jerseys, which if that was the case, I would have those much higher ranking on this list. At number 31, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, for one, I am glad they changed those uniforms and went back to more of their classic mid 2000s look. I thought the orange and the digital clock numbers looked really bad, so I am glad to see that they went back to those ones. However, their alternative, from what I've seen, is the all grays, and I don't know how I feel about that. So that's why they're so low on this list, at least until I see them in person, or I guess on TV. So I guess we'll see how they look, but just from the images, I wasn't too high on. But I really do like their regular home and away uniforms. At number 30, we got the Jets. Now, they recently went up with a uniform complete change, and these are their all black ones. Usually, or at least I used to, thought the all blacks were some of the best options you could go with, but I think in this case, it's one of those law of diminishing returns, and there's so many teams with all black ones now that it's kind of ruined my reception of that, if that makes sense. So I think they're the lowest team of how they look with the all blacks. And like I said, I used to be really high on the All Blacks, but there's just so many teams with it, it's kind of gotten a little stale at this point. And maybe it's also the only time I've seen them is when they got beat by the Browns, and I think Trevor Siemian was starting for them. So that doesn't have a really good memory in my mind. But that's also why I think they could do a little bit better with those. At number 29, we got the Chiefs, and I almost had them at the bottom of the list, to be honest, just because I think they are one of those teams that do so well with the regular uniforms. So whenever I think the Chiefs, I think they look really good on the red tops, white bottoms home, and the white tops, red bottoms away. It's clean, it's classic, it just looks really well. And whenever I was looking at the uniforms, I saw that their recent color rushes were the all reds, and if that was being the case, I did not like how that looked, so I would have put them at the bottom. But I went ahead and moved them a couple spots up because I think the all whites do move them a couple spots over some of the bottom of the teams. At number 28, we got the Cowboys. These are their blue sleeve uniforms, and these also just really don't do a whole lot for me. So whenever I see their away ones, I think that their normal aways are just so much better than these alternative ones. Also with the all white compared to the normal white and gray with the blue accents, I like the lighter blue with the white, and I think it's the navy blue on the white that kind of throws them off for me. for this pick. At number 27, we got the Steelers. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be upset with this one because there's a lot of Steelers fans. But hear me out. This is solely because their alternatives are kind of a couple steps down from their classic. Their black and their yellow bottoms just look so well. It's iconic, and it's for all these years it's just been clean. It's sometimes uniforms kind of run their course, but these ones have not. However, it's just because these ones they're all black ones, and their sleeves are just yellow instead of yellow and black, and it's just a couple steps below their normal uniform. So that's why this gets put lower on the list. At number 26, we got the Redskins. This is one of the hardest teams I found a spot for on the list. Similar to the Chiefs, some of their alternative ones, their color rushes, were all yellow, all red/crimson, whatever their actual primary color is. And similar to the Chiefs, I would have put those a lot lower. But with their all white ones, I am going to put them up a couple spots on this list. I do think one of their recent classic looks were pretty well, but I'm pretty sure those were with different types of helmets, or different color at least, so they don't apply to this list. So if that was being the case, I would have had them a little higher. But with the criteria given, similar to the Chiefs, that is why they're on the spot they are. At number 25, we got the 49ers. These are their all blacks. I think their all blacks are a little better than their all whites. However, similar to the Jets, I think they don't do the best of all the teams that have the all blacks. They're a little higher than some of the other ones, like I said, like the Jets and the Steelers. They do a little bit better than that. But I think with the alternatives, they could have did a little bit better. One of the things I think they could have done is go with the red uniforms like they do, but have like a different accent, kind of similar to that, I forget the year actually, but they had like the big black accents on the numbers. I thought that's pretty appealing, or something along those lines. Just try to make it a little different, since all the teams seem to be going to all black. At number 24, we got the Rams. Now these I haven't seen their new uniforms released. I do not know if those were actually released of the time of this recording, so keep that in mind. But these are going to be their all yellows with their blue and yellow helmets. Now, I will say their regular homes, the lighter blue shade with the yellow pants, that's a pretty classic look, and that would easily be on top 5 if we were just doing regular uniforms. But these all yellows, they're okay. They're okay for one game, but they don't go above middle of the pack for me. So I think this is a good fitting for them, somewhere in that mid to bottom mid tier. They're just there. They don't do a whole lot. I think they could have done something like if they wanted to do a regular alternative. So you got your home, which I think are top 5 easy, and you got your away, which I do not like. I do not like the white, but you could have do something like when pay tribute to the St. Louis days and put the golds maybe on as an alternative. They kind of do that with the uniforms with the away ones, but they have the white on top to pay homage to the old Rams. I think they could have an alternative where they pay tribute to the St. Louis Rams. Above them at number 23, we got the Browns, and similar to the Rams, I have not seen their latest uniform reveals before the recording of this video. Now, these are going to be their all browns with a little bit of the orange accents. Now, originally a couple years ago, they had the new uniform redesign, and these were part of their color rushes, I believe. And then I think they got so much backlash on their regular home ones. I'll try to show them, but these ones kind of overtook that. But these were originally supposed to be their color rushes / alternatives. So even though they wore these a lot in 2019, I'm still considering them alternatives. At number 22, we got the Chargers. Now, if they would have kept their navy blues, even like their recent redesign, or the old Drew Brees navy blues as their regular home ones, and kept the powder blues as their alternative, similar to the Rams, they would be easily top 5. But since they changed basically the alternatives around, their baby blues are not the traditional old school baby blues, but kind of like a modernization of the old uniforms. So those are their home uniforms. Now their alternatives are kind of all navy blues with the yellow accents on the face mask. I guess they have yellow accents on all their face masks now. But anyways, so they're okay. They're a little better than the Rams. I think the all blues, the shade is a little bit better than the Rams, but they also are not higher than some of the other teams on my list. At number 21, we got the Bills. This was also very difficult. Them and the Redskins were the last two teams I could rank. At first, I was going to put them near the Redskins, but the only reason I didn't is just I do like their look of their classic alternatives, but they really aren't that much different than their current aways. The only reason I put them up there is they do change their helmet with the old school Bill logo. I think that's kind of cool. I really do like the recent Bills redesign whenever they had the all navy blues with the red helmets when they first had Marshawn Lynch. Those would be easily at the bottom of my list. I thought those were ugly. So the redesign really helped them. The only problem is the alternative classic doesn't really separate the current away uniform that much. So with that being said, their regular ones would be high up on my list. With the similarities of both their current ones and their alternative ones, that's why they're in the middle. At number 20, we got the Eagles. They're going to be their all blacks. Now, these were one of my favorite uniforms in the mid-2000s, basically when they had Brian Dawkins, Brian Westbrook, those kind of days. The only reason they're lower is because it feels like they've had the same one for quite a while. A lot of the teams I really am high on is their alternative classics. I think I do like the Eagles uniforms. I don't think they're too stale. I think they could just use a little modernization and maybe have their alternative pay tribute to one of their old style of uniforms. I don't know if that's possible right now just because of the helmet rule. I remember that first game Mike Vick came in when Kevin Kolb got injured and they had those old school Eagle uniforms when they were playing the Packers, I believe. Those were kind of cool for alternatives, but with the helmet rule, they haven't been able to do that. I don't know if that's ever coming back in the near future, but I think that's something that would lift them up a lot higher on this list just because even though before all the other teams had color rushes, the Eagles had these in their alternative rotation. So just because, with all that being said, that's where they are on the list. At number 19, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. And to be honest, I think I might put these a couple spots higher than I did, but I've already made this list and currently recording. So, yeah, I think I should have put these a little bit higher on my list, to be honest. I'm going to own up on that one. I think they should be a little bit higher. With their color schemes and how they can mix and match, I put them very similar to the Panthers. I think they should be up there with them. Looking at my list, they're definitely out of line. So we're just going to withdraw that. We're going to say my bad and move on. At number 18, we got the Raiders. These are also their color rushes, all whites. I don't know if they have an all black or all other color other than white, but they kind of change their white scheme up a little bit with their color rushes compared to some other teams. They have a little bit more silver accents with their numbers and whatnot, where other teams just use their current away jerseys and put some white pants on with the all white socks. So I like how they change their color rushes up a little bit different from their traditional away uniforms, with the tops at least. At number 17, we got the Colts. They're all blues, at least in this list. Some teams don't do the all colors right, but I think it's just that color of the Colts blue where you put it on their entire uniform. They're kind of catchy. However, I would put their traditional white pants with the blue tops higher than the all blues. But I think just with that color scheme and that, I don't know what color of blue that is, bright blue, royal blue, something like that. It's vibrant and it's catchy. So these next two are very similar in my opinion. That's why I rank them where I rank them. At number 16, we got the Bears, and these are their orange tops compared to their blue ones. I just couldn't find myself putting the the old school classic ones on here where they had all those stripes going on. I just didn't find. I know they wore those a couple times. I was just like, no, I can't do that. So I went with their orange ones. They've been running these orange ones for quite a while now. Now I did like whenever back in the Jay Cutler days, whenever they went with the old school and they just took the logo off the helmet and they kind of paid homage to the classic ones like that. I did like those, but not all the stripes and whatnot. So right above them, we got the Texans at number 15, and these are their red tops. Like I said, I think these are very similar. They could go either order. I actually do like the Texans red tops better than probably their navy one. So I like their alternatives a little bit better. At number 14, we got the Broncos. And the best thing that the Broncos do with their color rushes is they switch up their helmets. And I know a lot of teams, like I said before, they can't do that if they have to use the same helmets, but they take the stickers off and they put the old school Denver Broncos logo on it. And I do not like that logo compared to their current one. But when you put it on an alternative where you only use it once a year, that's when I think it's worth it and when it can be cool. But I like the Broncos. My favorite ones are their orange tops with the white pants. Those home ones, they wore those a lot with the kind of the Peyton Manning era. Then they're kind of going back in between those ones, their blue ones, and these alternative ones. But when you rock out the alternative ones once a year, twice a year with the old school helmets, that's when I think they have some appeal to them. At number 13, we got the Lions, and these are going to be their old school classic ones. I think they wear these on the Thanksgiving days without just the pure silver helmets. I think those are kind of cool. I don't even know if they have any accents on their jerseys other than being all blue and the silver numbers. There's just something I think that's kind of cool whenever they take the logos off and they go pay homage to the old school classic ones. That's kind of just appealing if you only do it once or twice a year. Whenever I was making this list, I found myself ranking the classic alternatives very high on the list compared to the color rushes, which might go against a lot of people's opinions, but I really like the alternative classics. At number 12, we got the Seahawks, and these are their color rushes, their lime greens. These, similar to the Broncos, but in a different way, they put a twist on their color rushes a lot more than, I would say, any other team, possibly. So they're different. Sometimes, I do like watching them, but they are very bright. So I think 12 is a good spot for the Seahawks. At number 11, we got the Cardinals. Now, these could be lower on this list compared to how I rated some of the other teams. These are going to be their black tops and their white bottoms. I just think of big games like Darnell Dockett and Larry Fitzgerald wearing these. Maybe that Sunday, there's that 4 o'clock game whenever it's on national TV. And there's just something. I like their black tops with their white pants and white helmets accents a lot better than their current home ones. And so that's why these get elevated more on this list, say, compared to the Eagles, where I think their regular home ones are better than the Cardinals. So that's the explanation why the Cardinals are so much higher than the Eagles, for instance, even though these are they've been running them for a while. It's just they're so much better than their normal uniforms. At number 10, we got the Bengals. And these are going to be their all-white ones, their color rush ones. And I think what they do best on these ones is they kind of change up their sleeve accents. So compared to, say, either their home ones or they change it up slightly. So the uniform part is all white and black accents, but then you have the orange helmet. So compared to their normal away ones, their jersey would still have the orange accents. They get rid of that in the color rush, and then you only have the helmet. And I think the way they do it is visually appealing and makes it look pretty cool. At number 9, we got the Packers. These are their color rushes, all whites. I think they just do a good job. Maybe I'm so used to seeing the traditional Packers uniforms that it's kind of cool to see their all white ones. But I think they just do a good job. I could put the Bengals easily over them or put them a couple spots here and there. So they were a hard pick, but they cracked the top 10 regardless. At number 8, we got the Ravens. We got their all blacks. I just think of a big primetime game when Ed Reed and Ray Lewis is about to ball out. You could easily make the same make the same case for the Ravens being number 8 and the Eagles being lower on this list. But similar to the Cardinals, I think the All Blacks outweigh their purple ones. Now, if I could actually pick, I don't know when's the last time they wore these. It could be last year or the last 2 years. I don't know. But I do like the purple tops and the black bottoms a lot as well. But for this list, it's the All Blacks. To be honest, I don't know why I had the Ravens so much higher than the Eagles whenever both teams are probably the only couple teams on this list that have been doing All Blacks. I guess the Saints too. But so to be honest, I don't know why I ranked the Ravens so much higher. Maybe I'm just used to watching them or picking them in the old Maddens and running the All Blacks all the time. So that could be very well a possibility. I do not know. Yeah, I'm not sure why I did that. At number 7, we got the Vikings. These are going to be their classic current alternative classics. Similar to a lot of the teams, I do like the classic look. I'm not as high with the current Vikings uniforms. I think they could change some things up on the sleeves and whatnot, make that a little bit better. I am a fan of the stripes on the classic uniforms. At number 6, we got the Titans. These are the color rushes. And after they redesigned their helmets, and then they went with the color rush of the baby blues, there's just something that's so appealing about that. It just looks so clean, and it's great for an alternative uniform. I mean, it just fits so well. There's nothing more you can be said. At number 5, cracking the top 5, we got the Falcons. Now, I will say they did just unveil some new uniforms, but I am not using those on this list because I don't know if they'll be using these in the future or not. But I'm going with the alternative classics, and these are the black tops, the old school Eagles logo, and the white bottoms. So I always liked the Falcons uniforms, but I think they just do such a good job at making these in a true alternative where they wear them a couple times of a season, and it gives just that different vibe. I think of Julio Jones balling out in these, so that is why they are on the top 5. At number 4, we got the Panthers, and it's just their color scheme. It just looks so good. I'm not even sure what is considered their official home and their official alternative. I don't know if it's the all blacks or the blue on the white, or if it's is it black on the blue? But for this list, let's just say the black on the blue. It's a good color scheme. It fits well. I always used to think that was a cool color whenever I was a kid. At number 3, we got the Giants, and these are going to be their away color rushes. They're all white with the old school Giant logo on the side of the helmet that spells it out. Similar to the Broncos, I like how they pay homage to kind of their old uniforms. However, in contrast to the Broncos, I would say I would not be opposed if they went to these full time again. I'm just the NY. It just doesn't do a whole lot for me. So if they went with these full time, I wouldn't be opposed. At number 2, we got the Dolphins. Similar to a lot of the top teams, at least the top 10 on this list, these are the alternative classics. I'm not a big fan of the current Dolphins uniforms, so I think that's also why these ones get elevated so much. But if you compare their current home versus their alternative classics, it's just that alternative classics is just so clean, and it's just like I enjoy seeing them more than multiple times a year in these. And then number 1, we got the Saints, and these are their color rushes. They just look so clean. There's nothing more that can be said. I like how they do the stripes on the sleeves. Anytime they wear these, I'm like, that has to be one of the best uniforms in the league, easily. So they get the number 1 spot. Let's hear all your comments. It's so hard to rank these, though, to be honest. I mean, you're putting a couple teams on there, and either one could slide at least plus or minus 5. It's very hard, but this is my list. It's definitely subjective to opinion, so let me know where I went wrong and where you would have in your top 5, and I will catch you in the next video.